what voters wanted. Instead of calling for bold, progressive solutions, many Democratic candidates moved toward the so-called middle and lost touch with the social and economic ideas that separate them from the Republicans. Unsurprisingly, that didn't pan out well for Democrats. This bold new tax plan can put the left back on course toward a future of shared prosperity. The Democratic Party used to be the party of strong unions, the party of making the rich pay their fair share, and the party that fought for the middle class. Somehow, Democratic lawmakers forgot those points, but losing big in the last elections may have finally awakened them. This tax plan may not become reality under this Congress, but hopefully it's the first of many steps that Democrats take on the path towards progress. We all knew that the last election would break records on campaign spending, but where that money came from is still a giant surprise. According to a new analysis from the Brennan Center for Justice, the 2014 election saw massive increases in outside spending and so-called dark money. As the Center for Responsive Politics explains, dark money is a term applied to nonprofit groups who do not have to disclose their list of donors. So, although we may know which 501c3 groups got involved in the last election, we don't always know who is bankrolling those organizations. Brennan Center's analysis found that outside spending and dark money have both more than doubled since the 2010 election and led to outside sources having a bigger impact on close Senate races than actual voters or donors. We aren't just fighting to get money out of our political system. We're fighting for the ability to know who it is who is buying off our politicians. That's one more important reason why we need to get money out of politics. Go to movetoamend.org to find out how. President Obama is speaking up for municipal broadband. Last week, the president announced a new effort to support communities that want to set up their own internet infrastructure and eliminate barriers to publicly owned broadband. In his announcement, President Obama talked about community broadcast success stories like Cedar Falls, Iowa, Lafayette, Louisiana, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. He explained that these cities have internet speeds nearly 100 times faster than the national average, and they deliver it at an affordable price. Despite this clear evidence to support publicly owned internet providers, there are laws in 19 states that make it harder for communities to set up their own system. Expanding broadband in communities across our country would create jobs, keep internet prices low, and connect millions of people to the World Wide Web. So why aren't we expanding public broadband nationwide? Kansas Governor Sam Brownback wants school children to pay for his bad economic decisions. Back in 2012, Governor Brownback eliminated all state income taxes for businesses and set his state up for massive budget shortfalls. Rather than reversing course on his tax cuts to cover this year's $200 million budget gap, the governor wants to cut education funding. In his recent State of the State address, Governor Brownback quoted a 3-judge court panel that recently reviewed education funding. He read from the ruling saying, quote, "One cannot classify the school financing structure as reliably constitutionally sound," end quote. However, he left out the judge's main point, that education funding is too low to abide by the Kansas state constitution, which sets minimum levels. Brownback can use all the out-of-context quotes that he wants, but doing so won't fix his state's failing budget. People of Kansas need to wake up and demand that Governor Brownback reinstate taxes on businesses and that he keeps his hands off education funding. And finally, in 2014, Thomas Piketty's book, Capital in the 21st Century, sparked a national discussion about income inequality in our nation and, frankly, around the world. This year, that same book may be responsible for workers at one of our nation's largest insurance companies getting a hefty raise. Last week, Aetna CEO Mark Bertolini announced that his lowest-paid employees were getting a big pay bump. That company will increase their base wage to $16 an hour, which means that about 5,700 workers will see their pay go up between 11 and 33%. After reading Piketty's book on inequality, Mr. Bertolini decided that his company should do more to close the income gap. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Bertolini said, "It's not just about paying people. It's about the whole social compact. Why can't private industry step forward and make the innovative decisions on how we do this?" In addition to fighting inequality and improving the lives of workers, these raises will have big benefits for Aetna as well. Bertolini predicts that better pay will reduce turnover and increase performance at the company and create a better and more informed workforce. While it shouldn't be innovative to recognize the value of treating your workers well, it's great to see private industries stepping up and working to create a future of shared prosperity. And that's the way it is for the week of January 19th, 2015. I'm Thom Hartmann on Economic and Labor News.
is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. Thom Hartmann here in a snowy Washington, D.C. I was hoping winter was over, but it's not February yet. Was it Sandberg? No, it wasn't. Who said winter is the cruelest, or February is the cruelest month? It's one of those late 19th, early 20th century poets. Anyway, in fact, yesterday was supposed to be the most depressing day of the year. That's T.S. Eliot. Said February is the cruelest month. Thank you, Shano. So he wasn't even an American poet. I was thinking the American poets. He was British. Thank you, Danielle. It's so last night the president gave his State of the Union address, and I have some thoughts on it. I want to share some pieces of it with you, and there's some interesting stuff peripheral to that too, and we'll talk about that throughout the next 3 hours. Greg Palast is going to drop by in our second hour, and Kerry Lucas is going to drop by in our third hour. We're going to talk about some specific issues like, what's going on in the case of Greg Palast with the whole he refers to it as the European leper colony, and the reason why what's going on in Greece and Europe is of great consequences because soon to play in a theater near you, right? This is coming to America. As it was here in America during the Bush administration, these conservative economic policies. And Kerry Lucas, we're going to be talking about net neutrality. But peripheral to this, I don't know if you've seen this. It's kind of gone viral on YouTube. Shepard Smith, the Fox reporter, the Fox News reporter. I call it Fox so-called news. Apparently, at the tables, the dinner tables where they have the name places for the people who are sitting there, before the State of the Union, it said NBC News, CBS News, ABC News, Fox. No news, right? Perfect. Now, it was probably just a mistake, but if it wasn't, man, I am with that. I am with the White House on doing that because Fox, MSNBC doesn't call themselves MSNBC News unless they're doing a newscast. They have opinion shows. Rachel Maddow is an opinion show. Ed Schultz is an opinion show. Lawrence is an opinion. My show, this show is an opinion show. I don't pretend that this is a news show. I mean, I talk about the news. Rush Limbaugh is not a news show. He's an opinion show. So why not own up to it? Well, because Fox wants people to live in their own little Fox universe. And now they've got their little website, where people can kind of hang out and just, and everybody gets insulated from reality. So there's that, number one. Number two, the myth that Obama is turning to the left, right? I don't know if you caught Joni Ernst's the pig castrator from Iowa. If you caught her Republican rebuttal, boy, did somebody teach her how to smile while she talks. I tried to learn that once, when I first started in television. It's like, learn how to smile while you talk so that you're always smiling while you're talking. And it just came across as so. I was looking at her and I was going, wow, Stepford Wives. And I said that to Louise. And then I thought, is that a sexist statement or not? I'm not sure. But it was... Maybe men do that too. I suppose. I don't know. I'm not even sure most women do that. It was odd. But that's, that's kind of catty and tacky and gossipy and whatever. And frankly, beneath me to go into that. My apologies, Jody. I shouldn't pick on the way that you did your presentation. At least you didn't drink the tea that Marco Rubio gave you. We were all speculating yesterday. What's Rubio going to give her? Right? Is he going to give her like atropine or scopolamine? These the stuff that used to be in the old contact cold capsules that they make out of crab apples. They dry you up so much that you get dry mouth, so that you've got to lurch and grab a glass of water in the middle of your talk. Or was he going to do the old frat boy joke? Put some X-Lax in her chocolate cake, or what was it going to be? How's Marco Rubio going to blow this up? But apparently he didn't. I don't know. Apparently didn't. She did a fine delivery. What's particularly interesting is that Joni Ernst Number one, her family's taken over $460,000 in federal welfare checks. Welfare for farmers. Corn supports and price supports and, basically all the various kinds of welfare that big, corporate farmers get. She told this story about how she had to put bread bags over her shoes as a little kid to go to school in the winter, and it didn't feel so bad because all the other little kids do. And it was a story about, basically poverty in rural America. It's a very moving story. And I'm perfectly willing to assume that it was true. I mean, this was apparently before the farm price supports started kicking in. I guess, I don't know how old she is, but, maybe in any case. But now that she's a senator, if she was trying to say, this is what I don't get. It's one of two messages. Just think about this for a minute. She was delivering really one of two messages. Either one was, I grew up in poverty and I made it so anybody can make it in America. That's a nice message. It's unfortunately no longer true. I mean, yes, you can make it as a right-wing commentator or as a right-wing politician because there are billionaires who will give you a lot of money if you say the right things. But you can't, America is now the least socially mobile country of all the 34 developed countries in the world, the OECD nations. We are the least socially mobile. In other words, we are the country in which you are least likely to grow up in poverty and end up in the middle class. In the case of Joni Ernst now, the upper middle class, with all the money that her family's getting from the federal government. And, of course, she didn't mention that. She's either saying that, or she's saying, I grew up in poverty and had to put bread bags on my shoes, and you should too, and that's why I'm not going to raise the damn minimum wage. That there's virtue in growing up in poverty. Which message do you think she was trying to convey? I frankly think it's the latter, given her policy positions. Poor people shouldn't have free health care. Poor people shouldn't have a raised minimum wage. The working poor. Poor people shouldn't have, you can go down the list, right? Shouldn't have access, shouldn't have Social Security when they retire, shouldn't have Medicare when they retire. These are all official Republican positions. Either they shouldn't have them, or if they do have them, they should be delivered by some billionaire on Wall Street who's going to skim a bunch of money off the top. So, anyway, I found that fascinating. The other fascinating part about this, and then I want to get into what Obama said. I'm going to play a couple of clips and give you some of my thoughts on it. Boy, this time flies fast. Because I haven't even got to where I intended to start, which was with what Obama said, which was a great speech. It was a great speech. There's a couple things that I disagree with. The vast majority of it I thought was brilliant, and particularly his backhanded swipe at George W. Bush when he said, we don't do stupid foreign policy anymore. My words, not his. But the other thing about the Joni Ernst rebuttal, the Republican rebuttal, was that it was also delivered in Spanish. And the Spanish version of it was delivered by Congressman Carlos Curbelo of Florida, a Cuban-American from Florida, who speaks Spanish. And he added into it the phrase, he added into it that Republicans want to work with the president. He said we should work through the appropriate channels to create permanent solutions for our immigration system. Right? Joni Ernst is opposed to immigration reform. In fact, she is this English-only person. She doesn't think anything should be in Spanish. So, hang on.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Apparently what this means is that when Republicans talk to Hispanics in Spanish, they say, we're all in favor of immigration reform. But when they talk to Caucasians in English, they say,